It's Friday, May 22. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. As of Friday morning, Jamaica has 534 cases of COVID-19. The Health Ministry says 2 of the new patients recently arrived from the United Kingdom, while 3 are under investigation. In the meantime, 181 people have now recovered from the virus. On Thursday, 200 Jamaicans successfully disembarked the Adventure of the Seas cruise ship after being processed by the Medical and Customs team. They proceeded to the Grand Bahia Principe Hotel. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bessessa McKenzie had commented on the issue at a virtual press briefing this week.
Once it is that they come off, they will be sampled. The samples will be collected from them, and then quarantine orders will be served, and they will be transported to a quarantine facility where they will remain for 24 to 72 hours until we get back their results. When we get back their results, then arrangements will be made for home quarantine for these persons depending on the results. If we have persons that are positive, then of course these persons will be isolated. Considering the risk that there will be in having persons in home quarantine, we will do quite a bit of sensitization with the persons once they are at the hotel for them to understand their personal responsibility as well. And we will enter into an arrangement where they will be monitored for the period that they're going to be at home. The next 200 persons will disembark on the following day, and the same process would occur. And we go through that process until all persons have disembarked and have gone through sampling and have been released into home quarantine.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Matthew Samuda, visited the Falmouth cruise ship pier to examine the arrangements as it relates to the disembarkation process of our Jamaican citizens who arrived on the Adventure of the Seas cruise ship Wednesday afternoon.
I'm here at the Falmouth cruise ship pier. I am checking on arrangements as it relates to the debarking process for Jamaican citizens who are on the Royal Caribbean ship. We want to make sure it runs as seamlessly as is possible to ease any further burden on our Jamaican brothers and sisters who are on the ship. We will be doing it in batches of about 200. The JDF team from PICA, the team from Port Authority, the team from Ministry of Health are just fine-tuning arrangements so that we're able to bring our Jamaicans off of the ship, get them tested, get them into quarantine, and then get them home very quickly to ease the strain and anxiety that we know they've been facing. We've had some challenges, there are no two ways about it, but we are, however, very focused on getting all of our Jamaicans at home. We understand the weight of the plight that they're facing abroad. We want to get everyone home, but we want to get everyone home safely. Safely for Jamaicans already at home and safely for them and their families. So we are working around the clock to resolve any issues that would exist.
Motorists whose vehicles were affected by bad gas in 2015 should know on Friday how and when they will be compensated. PBCJ understands that $24.5 million has been disbursed to the Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, from Petrojam Ethanol Limited to compensate affected motorists, and it will be paid out. You should bear in mind, though, that only those motorists who reported their cases to the CAC with supporting documents will be considered for compensation, and even then, only motorists whose claims were authenticated by a technical committee established by the CAC will get any money. Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Favour Williams, says her ministry is monitoring the implementation of the amended Petroleum Quality Control Regulation so as to ensure that the bad gas saga does not happen again.
In July 2016, the Petroleum Quality Control Regulation was amended to limit the specification of what's called unwashed gum for motor gasoline ethanol E1087 and E1090 octane blended with additives to a certain level. In April 2017, the Petroleum Quality Control Regulations was amended to mandate the pressure testing of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, and liquefied natural gas, LNG. In August 2017, the Petroleum Quality Control Regulations was also amended to mandate the Bureau of Standards, the BSJ, to test and issue a certificate of quality before the following products are sold or distributed to the Jamaican market. And these include gasoline, automotive diesel oil, and ethanol.
Minister Williams was speaking at a virtual press briefing held by the Consumer Affairs Commission.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says the COVID-19 crisis offers an opportunity for Jamaica to position itself as a near-shore supplier to the United States. Senior Vice President Americas at the United States Chamber of Commerce, Neil Harrington, says a supply chain disruption between the U.S. and Mexico provides Jamaica with an excellent opportunity to export to the U.S. market. Speaking on Wednesday at a webinar hosted by the American Chamber of Commerce of Jamaica, Mr. Harrington gave as an example the fact that the U.S. can no longer get fruits from Mexico. In response, Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Audley Shaw, said Jamaica needs investors to create orchards on the hundreds of acres of arable lands left idle with the demise of the sugarcane production. He commended Chairman of the NCB Financial Group, Michael Lee Chin, for taking on 3,000 acres of sugarland, which will be put into production, starting with short-term crops such as Irish potatoes, and eventually moving into long-term crops such as mangoes. As of May 18, customers who have already paid for their driver's license are required to visit the tax office where the payment was made and deposit properly completed driver's license application form F7. A telephone number is to be affixed, a copy of a receipt, copy of expired driver's license, a passport size photograph. Those instructions are part of new measures being implemented by the Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ. TAJ says new drop-offs should be made based on a schedule published on their website. For further information, you can contact the TAJ Customer Care Center at 888-829-4357 or visit their website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. Salary payments for members of staff at the University of the West Indies Mona campus will be delayed this month. The university says late payment of salaries is as a result of its deteriorating financial position, compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic. The administration says it's working to have salaries paid by Wednesday, May 27. Located in Constant Spring, St. Andrew, the Cassava Peace community is described by many as one of the most peaceful inner-city communities on the island. It's bordered on one side by Mannings Hill Road and on the other by Constant Spring Road. Cassava Peace is intricately linked by a major waterway or man-made gully crisscrossing Kingston with the upscale communities of Manor Park, Roehampton, Pembroke Hall, Patrick Gardens and Washington Gardens. They're also linked by the potential threat of illness and flooding. Marlon Samuels explains.
The mountain is made up of discarded beds, stoves, refrigerators, chairs, and many other household items, plastic bottles, and decaying food. Rats scamper around, looking for something to dine on. Dogs can also be seen sniffing and pulling on what appears to be rotten carcasses. The health hazards from the gully are real. The foul stench is unbearable, and the residents say it's the cause of the growing mosquito problems in the community.
It breeds mosquito cause dengue. Dengue cause several diseases. You understand me? Then at the same time the rat cause leptospirosis, all kind of different disease. So you have to understand, right? The scent from it alone, you passing and sometimes dead dog, dead pig, dead this. And the smell alone going in your nostril and going in your lung is not nice.
Definitely, without a doubt. It not only leads to the breeding of mosquitoes, but it also leads to the infestation of rats and roaches, which in fact could lead to the community being vulnerable to the spread of diseases. In this community, we have a lot of elders and young young babies.
Always, in every community where you go and find this gully with garbage like this, it's a disgrace to see what's taking place in the community. Not because the people in the community nasty, it's because the government do not provide enough garbage bin to collect the garbage. Enough truck not coming out to collect the garbage and remove the garbage from the community. So the people then leave with no alternative more than throw it in the gully. It breeds rat, it causes various different diseases, right? When you come to the gully and you look in it and see the amount of garbage in it, if rain do not fall, this gully do not clean. When the rain fall and all these garbage come, it goes straight into the sea. We, the people who eat fish, end up have to eat fish that is not cleaned because of the pollution of garbage from every community, not only this community, all right? But the government need to produce garbage bins, all right? Put a garbage bin in every 5 hours. Every 5 hours, you put a garbage collection bin and come and move them like twice per week. It is very helpful for every community, not for only this side of community. Every other gully you go through and community you go through, you see them. And it's embarrassing, it's disgraceful. I went to Antigua and when I go down to the gully, the seaside and the street, it's clean, like whistle. And I'm wondering, why is it that it's only in Jamaica you find so many garbage packed up in the gully, packed up in the roadside, and nobody to clean it?
If we had a next option wherein we used to have skits wherein it could maintain at least 30 homes, yes, the capacity, of, you know, but now we only have like a few jumps, you know, and this community consists of like 4,000 to 6,000 people, so we'd have to have a transit going in and out with the rubbish trucks, you know, like twice per week, you know. And I would ask for the citizens to help, you know, cooperate by, you know, removing any obstacle that may block the road, you know, so that they can have a free flow within, maybe it's a fire truck or whatever emergencies, you know what I mean? So I would advise that, you know, we need some proper maintaining of the rubbish by some skids and a regular routine of rubbish trucks. From the government, I ask that, you know, openly. We're the great song. Yeah, man. We're the day I hold them. School about blessed by your door.
Nigel Brown, who has lived in the community since he was a child, became deadly ill from the mosquito-borne illness chikungunya in 2014.
Last night, when I was trying to get a little ease from this, I realized this has no ease. It has a painful effect on the entire body. In 2014, I was affected by this CHIKV. I didn't know from where or whence this ailment came upon me, but the feelings, you know, was, you know, very severe. It was almost like, you know, you get approached unexpectedly by someone who is, you know, in urge to harm you, the worst way that could ever think, you know.
There are structural breaches to the floor and wall of the gully, which could spell danger.
Yes, it causes structural damage because when it washes from one place and go and pile up, it can flood out that other person's property, it can destroy that other person's property, because when the water come and have nowhere to run, you know, can end up in the person's property and destroy it. So it can cause several breaches. So that's why it needs to be fixed, that it do not cause those problems. Remember, years ago, hurricane season we are in right now. So you can imagine now, if a hurricane happen to come now, a category 5, and all these garbage pile up, what do you think will happen? It going to end up flood. Because the garbage don't have nowhere to go. Because the gully them is constant. Right? They're stagnant with all kind of things. Because they throw everything in them.
According to Mr. Brown, Cassava Peace is an uptown ghetto, structurally underdeveloped. There are no recreational areas for children and no employment.
The community need a voice, you know, not one of a PMP or a Labourite thing, you know what I mean? No politics, nothing, you know what I mean? But just a social communication wherein one can say, look, I heard a set of people voicing a voice, say they need certain things. That one can bring it to other higher authorities, you know? We can deal with the matter, at least, you know, present the matter, you know, and adjust the situation in some cases, you know.
I think the community needs a Hard Trust NTA program wherein people could go and do the courses so they can improve their well-being and show the potential, the true potential.
He and others have been trying to educate community members about the importance of keeping the gullies clean and free from garbage. One resident pointed to the Manor Park community, which is geographically located above Cassava Peace, must do the same.
It is for the benefit of the community. Where you live, you have to keep it clean. You have to keep your surrounded clean. Right now, COVID virus going around. And it breeds from so many things that affect the lungs, immune system. What are you going to do with all these pollution in every gully in the community around Jamaica country? When you go to Portmore and look in the gully, it's embarrassing. So the amount of mosquito now, since COVID come in, you don't hear nothing about dengue again. When dengue used to be the main source of sickness caused through the gully water and the savage of the garbage throughout the community. So people have to understand, right?
It's a big problem, but we alone can't fix it.
They are appealing to the authorities to develop the community, even as they fast-track the structural breaches in the floor and wall of the gully. In the past, the gully, choked with solid waste, has caused several incidents of localized flooding. This is a clear and present danger as the hurricane season approaches. Marlon Samuels for PBCJ News.
Robert Bobby Digital Dixon, one of dancehall and reggae's most prolific music producers, has died. He was 59 years old. Originally from Olympic Gardens in Kingston, Dixon was a protege of engineer and producer Lloyd King Jammy James, with whom he started his career as an audio engineer. He has collaborated with artists such as Shabba Ranks, Buju Banton, Garnet Silk, Cockatoo and Sizzler, among others. As we enter into the weekend, let's gear up with Entertainment Recap with host Alicia Steele.
Welcome to PBCJ's Entertainment Recap. I'm your host, Alicia. Last week, we spoke to you about Ding Dong new song, Mirror. But Ramesh Entertainment is on a roll this week. The song is titled We Rise, featuring artists such as TJ, Shensaya, Ding Dong, Cameron Haikon, Conscience, Taras Riley, and Ramesh himself, not to mention Cash. Listen to it.
Like the ashes we rise, like a phoenix we soar. And this is who we are, and we take it to the world. Now is the time, like a star we will shine. Let's take a stand and spread love to the world. For love road so much and can't go out there.
Like a phoenix we rise from the ashes. This is who we are. Incarcerated dancehall artist Adidja Palmer, also known as Vybz Kartel, has silenced his critics by blowing up in success of $73 million from his album Totanisha.
Since the release of the 10-track album in January, dedicated to his soulmate, or should I say lifelong partner, Shorty, the artist created this love story album featuring artists such as Jesse Royal, Sika Rhymes, and Jada Kingdom.
While the DJ continues to be divergent with his music, the influence on music lovers, especially his fans, continue to grow. The Marley creates history again. The grandson of the late Bob Marley, Skip Marley, is #1 this week with his single Slow Down, featuring her. The music, rhythm and blues, melody, slow beat, and the words is just awesome. Just listen to it and just groove to it for a minute. Keep going, Skip. Congratulations are in order for the two new running dads with girls Usain Bolt and Warren Weir. Welcome beautiful baby girls into this world or nation this month. We, the PBCJ family, wish you nothing but great experience as new dads and just enjoy your bundle of joy. Don't miss Sunday Live this Sunday, 1 p.m. on PBCJ. Runkus and IKEA will be performing this week. For more entertainment recap with me, Alicia, follow us on all socials at PBC Jamaica. Era, my God, big up you.
Gabriel Thompson now takes us through the business report.
On May 15, the Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, approved Jamaica's request for access to the fund's rapid financing instrument of approximately $520 million. In November 2019, Jamaica successfully completed its precautionary standby agreement with the IMF. The fund says this was underpinned by strong ownership and civil society oversight. But just months later, the COVID-19 shock hit Jamaica, resulting in a projected loss of $81 billion in revenues and grant flows. IMF Mission Chief to Jamaica, Dr. Manuela Goretti, in a May 18 virtual press conference, labeled the Jamaican government's response to the coronavirus outbreak as appropriate.
First, on the fiscal side, the adoption of targeted measures to support jobs and provide resources to the vulnerable segments of the population has been timely and appropriate. And as we discussed in our staff report, which has just been released, the COVID-19 emergency warrants, in our view, a temporary reduction of the primary surplus from 5.4% of GDP to 3.5%, and a modest delay in achieving the fiscal responsibility law's goal of bringing debt down to 60% of GDP. Second, the Bank of Jamaica monetary policy stance should remain accommodative, supported by their ongoing efforts to boost systemic liquidity and ensure financial stability. The exchange rate should remain flexible and continue to act as a shock absorber, with FX intervention limited to stem excess volatility.
The IMF Mission Chief says there are expectations of economic recovery in 2021.
This is consistent with the projection and the discussion in our staff report. So we do see a recovery next year at 3.9%, but coming from a very deep trough this year. So indeed, the recovery is going to be gradual and it's going to take 2 full fiscal years after the year of the shock to really go back to the levels that we had seen before, especially on the tourism sector. So at the moment, I think, our projections are consistent with this view.
Dr. Goretti also spoke to the IMF's projections for recoveries in select areas.
And for this fiscal year, we assume a sharp drop in growth. The projection for the year as a whole is minus 5.3, but with the sharp contraction in the second quarter of 2020 and the third quarter of 2020. In our assumption, we assume that in the next in this quarter and the following one, hardly any tourism arrivals. So this is one of the main assumptions. And then we assume that the tourism will only recover very gradually over the next few years. At the same time, we are also assuming some weaknesses in mining. This had already started before the COVID crisis due to the closure of the Alpart factory, but we expect this weakness to continue also on the back of the only gradual recovery and the shock that China has faced and the impact on commodity prices.
Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, tabled the first supplementary estimates of expenditure for 2020-2021 in the House of Representatives on May 13. The finance minister announced that the COVID-19 outbreak has cost Jamaica approximately $120 billion. The figures show that the budget for the 2020-2021 fiscal year has been revised to just over $838 billion, down from approximately $854 billion. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 365 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 72 stocks, of which 32 advanced, 28 declined, and 12 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 5 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Barita Investments, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company. Trading firm were Berger Paints Jamaica, Cargo Handlers, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 2.3 million units, followed by Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units and Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 1.9 million units. Now for the foreign exchange, the US dollar on Thursday, May 21, ended trading at $145.99. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $104.77. The pound sterling traded for $179.24, and the euro ended trading at $162.60. Oil fell 5% on Friday to around $34 a barrel as tensions rose between the United States and China, and doubts grew about the pace of demand recovery from the coronavirus crisis. Benchmark Brent crude dropped $1.57 to settle at $34.49 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures declined by $1.88 to settle at $32.04. That's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, the Dominica Medical Association has congratulated the government on its management of the COVID-19 pandemic. Dominica has reported a full recovery from the virus with no deaths.
I am Dr. Deanne Robinson Awo, President of the Dominica Medical Association, Deputy Chief Medical Officer, and Medical Director of Advanced Gynecology and Consulting Services. Today I would like to say a great congratulations to the government of Dominica for a job well done in managing COVID-19 on our island. Our latest COVID-19 stats show that we have 0 active cases in Dominica currently. Our frontline workers have done an excellent job, and you, the Dominica populace, have played a critical role in getting us to 0 by adhering to the recommendations of the Ministry of Health. But family, our fight is not over, not by a long shot. It is easy to breathe a sigh of relief and believe we have dodged a bullet. We have not. COVID-19 is still active in every part of this world. Soon, our government will have to make a choice as to when to open up our borders locally, regionally, and internationally. And with these decisions, there's an increased risk of reintroducing COVID back onto our island. As we have done before, we will manage this again. And we are asking you to continue to adhering to the recommendations of the Ministry of Health with physical distancing, hand washing, respiratory etiquette, and hand sanitizing. We are still in a fight. We are still in this fight together. Once again, congratulations to the Ministry of Health, the government of Dominica, and the people of Dominica on a job well done.
As the national recount of the March 2 general and regional elections continues in Guyana, the People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC on Wednesday met with GCOM and proposed several measures to speed up the recount process. PPPC presidential candidate Ifran Ali said this will not take away from the transparency of the process.
One of the first recommendations we looked at and we shared with the Commission is examining a quota system whereby a minimum quota is set for every single station, and those stations work every day until they complete their quota, so that the totality of the quota will be in keeping with the objective of the Commission, the Chair, and achieving that target. The second recommendation we looked at was the staff welfare itself. The staff working extended hours, and for GCOM to ensure that they are properly compensated for the additional hours beyond the normal time frame, as an incentive for the staff to not only complete the quota, but to work in ensuring that we achieve the outcome of the recount in the shortest possible time frame and transparently. So the quota system, all the quota system does is to say there is a minimum standard that we're going to establish for every station, and that standard may be 12 stations now. It has to be about 9 boxes per station. But if you have 2 additional stations that we recommended, then of course it will be less. It might be 8, and that is in keeping with the average that we have been seeing.
In St. Lucia, Economic Development Minister Guy Josephs has doubled down on recent comments he made to the effect that the inefficiency in the public sector must be addressed. We get more in this HTS News Force report.
The comments were first made last week on the nighttime show Keeping It Real with Norbert Williams, where Minister for Economic Development Guy Joseph was a call-in guest. Joseph raised many eyebrows when he stated that many individuals had not been to work from his various ministries as a result of COVID-19. However, he stated the functionality and efficiency of the ministries remained on pace. This, he says, was adequate evidence that the public service is due for a reform. When questioned about his comments at the National Television Network virtual briefing, the minister doubled down, expounding on his call for public service reform.
The ministries can be efficient with less staff, and that's a fact. And everybody knows that, because the hours being put in, we hardly get 8 hours from some people at all. The time they walk in, the number of hours they have for lunch, and the time they leave. And that's a reality. And I know some people may not vote for me because I say that about them, but it doesn't really matter.
Joseph backs his point up with a survey that points out 70% of the workforce is underqualified for the jobs within the market.
I don't want people to get the perception that it's about cutting public service, and it's making it more efficient, it's retooling our people, and it is better preparing us for the growth that we are looking for. Because we cannot sustain our standard of living with the size of the economy of St. Lucia. It means that you'd have to continue to tax other people, which is what the previous government was doing. Our focus is lowering taxes and broadening the base.
Joseph says his statements are in no way an attack on public servants.
I want to give everybody in my constituency a job in the government if I could. I would love to do that. That guarantees my re-election. But is that first priority? Can you pad up the public service to the point where you eventually crash everything and you cannot pay anybody? It's not practical. You do not govern in this manner.
In the same breath, Joseph says not all ministries are created equally. He reveals that he has given the go-ahead to the Ministry of Finance to assess the various ministries under his stewardship.
I believe my ministry can be more efficient with less staff. And I make no bones about it. I said to the Ministry of Finance, review my ministries, tell me this is your recurrent expenditure, you need to cut it by X amount, and the hierarchy of the ministry, the PS and everybody, we will sit down, we will review our recurrent expenditure, and we will make the determination as to how to make the ministry efficient.
The minister says the aim is to ensure the public service operates as a well-oiled machine that is void of any excessive burden on cash flow resources. Zola Jalfred, HTS News Force.
In sports, all domestic netball competitions for this year have been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Confirmation came from Netball Jamaica in a release on Thursday. The Club League started with one set of matches on March 7 before the COVID-19 stalled proceedings. As a result, the Elite League, which had no scheduled starting date, as well as major and minor leagues, have also been cancelled. And in the weather report, forecasters predict an above-normal Atlantic hurricane season. NOAA's Climate Prediction Center forecasts 13 to 19 named storms, those with winds of 39 miles per hour or higher. 6 to 10 storms could become hurricanes with winds of 74 miles per hour or higher, and 3 to 6 could be major hurricanes of Category 3 or more with winds 111 miles per hour or higher. The Atlantic hurricane season officially extends from June 1 to November 30. There has been one tropical storm already in the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Arthur, the first named storm of the season. Emergency officials said they're factoring the novel coronavirus pandemic into potential relief efforts. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.